Well, by way of introduction, my name is Cal Jernigan. I'm the senior pastor at Central Christian Church of the East Valley. Central is a multi-site campus on the east side of the Phoenix metropolitan area. And when I got the assignment, the first thing came to my mind, well, a number of things came to my mind, but one thing just immediately rose to the top. What would I do different if I could do this all over? Something popped up and I said, man, I wish I'd have known this. And the fact is, I did know it, I just didn't do it. If I'd have done this one thing, I think would have put me years ahead of where I am and put our church years ahead of where it is. This one thing that I wish I'd have done is I wish I'd have got a mentor. And I don't know what my problem was because I knew better. But I think back then, I think about it and I thought, I think it was kind of like that fear that, you know, if I would go to somebody and ask them, would you spend time with me? Would you help me? Would you teach me? That they'd be too busy or too preoccupied with themselves, or I would seem too insignificant and too unimportant. And they'd just look at me and go, why waste my time with you? And I just made the mistake of assuming the answer would be no. And I don't know, again, just call it, you know, laziness or stupidity or what. I just didn't ask. And it's kind of like the kid at the junior high dance who just stands on the sidelines, just sure that if he were to risk it, they'd say no. That's kind of me in my early years. And I have lived to regret that. Now, in all honesty, I've read a lot of books and I've gone to a lot of conferences and read a lot of things. But the difference between that and what I'm talking about is the ability to sit down and talk to somebody about those ideas. To have the author of the book or the person who's actually putting the idea out there grapple with what you're thinking and then be able to speak into your life and say, you know what, but here's where I don't think you're getting it. I never had that kind of interaction. And the specific, you know, permission given to somebody to say, hey, I don't think you're hearing me. I don't think you're getting it. Man, I wish I'd have had that. If I can draw a parallel, let me just talk for a moment about those first 5 years of our lives. They talk about how you treat a child, that what happens in those first 5 formative years will set the pace for the rest of their life. If you treat them kindly and love on them and, you know, raise them well and all that, then they're going to be propelled down the road to success. But whatever happens in those first 5 years, if it's bad, then the opposite happens, and it can take decades to undo the damage that was done. So here's the corollary. Is it possible that in ministry, when we go to seminary and we get all these ideas and we learn all these things and we get them in our head, that we get involved in ministry and we start realizing that this isn't exactly what I thought it would be, and that in those early years of ministry, we're going to form attitudes and we're going to form kind of a philosophy, and if we get it right, it'd be great, but if we get it wrong, it could do us tremendous damage. The question is who are you going to sit down with who's going to give you that insight? We have a joke around our church that when we face real-life crises, which are constant around here, we just joke about, we must have missed class the day of seminary when this was talked about. Who's going to help you through those tough times? Well, that's what I believe a mentor does. Proverbs 9:8-9 says, don't reprove a mocker, he's going to hate you, but reprove a wise man. Teach a wise man, and he'll increase his learning. Tells me two things, that there are people who want to teach and there are people who want to learn. And the question is how good of a student are you and I going to be? Are we going to be willing to listen? Are we going to be willing to be instructed? We have a really cool thing going on right now in the Phoenix area. We got a lot of mega churches, a disproportionate amount of mega churches, and these guys are led by great leaders. And what's so cool about this is, the truth is these guys, we all like each other. And we get together, we hang out, we spend time together, and we even do retreats together. And when we're together, we talk about the successes that we're having and the failures, and we talk about the best practices, and we stretch one another. And when there's a difficult decision that needs to be made, we have other guys speak into that decision. And it's a really, really cool thing. And you might be thinking, yeah, but that's because you guys pastor large churches, and that's the only reason these guys will spend time with one another. But here's what's cool. We started this thing, it's called Rapid Fire Lunches, which just allow one of these guys, one of these senior leaders, to hang out with 5, 6, 7 young up-and-coming leaders, good guys that are learning ministry, where these guys can share their insights and pass along the things that matter. And what amazes me is how willing these guys are. And this is what I got wrong. I would have thought that if I'd have asked people, they would have said no. But the guys I know, they're all more than willing, and they just need to be asked. Well, 2 Timothy 2:2 says this. Paul says to Timothy, the things you've heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, these entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. And that is just a beautiful picture of a relay race, the passing of a baton, and that is mentoring at its best. And so Paul had Timothy to pass it on. So Timothy received that from Paul, and you go, yeah, I got that idea. But as you follow the Bible, that's the pattern. That's how God teaches. So you go all the way back, and Joshua had Moses, and Elisha had Elijah, and Solomon had his dad David that passed it on. And you get into the New Testament, and of course, you know, Peter, James, and John had Jesus. But the compelling question, the one that we've got to wrestle with right at this moment is, who do you have? Who do you have that you can go to and say, you know what? Can I just learn from you? Can you sit down with me? Can I kind of just develop a relationship with you and give you permission to speak into my life? Can I give you permission to tell me when you think I'm getting a little bit off course and give you permission to correct me? And, you know, if you don't have anyone, then I want to spend these last few moments, I want to plead with you, find somebody. I'm telling you, you need it, and they're more than willing. And if you don't, then the reality is you will pay a price. So what's the one thing I wish I'd have known? What's the one thing I wish I'd have done? I wish I would have had a mentor. I made the mistake of not having one. Don't you make the same mistake. God bless.